Hello everybody, we are outside of Arizona Stadium, just hours away from the home opener against San Diego State. I'm assistant sports editor Ryan Wohl, here with our sports editor Jordan Pollock. Jordan, how are you today?
Doing real good. It's a beautiful morning in Tucson, Arizona for game day.
That is for sure, and let's hop right into it. As we know, last week, the Arizona Wildcats lost a tight 24-16 contest to the BYU Cougars, but they return home to get some revenge and get a W on the board. How do you think they played last week?
Last week I thought they played really well. I think they played about my expectations, at least off of just like pure like will and just trying their best to win. I was really excited for what the offense had in store, especially with the new schemes that Jed Fish had. It's a lot different from the last two coaches that have run pretty much all spread. So schematically, I was really interested to see what they did, and they did a lot of what I thought they would do in the first half, a lot of I formation stuff.
Yeah.
But as the second half went on, they went to a lot more shotgun and at least like what we see now out of college football with like Alabama and LSU just trying to throw the ball around. So it was kind of not super what I expected, but it was interesting to see how Jed Fish has kind of molded his system to fit more of like the current college football.
Yeah, and you got to keep everything and put everything in perspective. As we know, that was the first game of the Jed Fish era. New coaches, Don Brown, running the defense. I was very impressed with the defense, only giving up 24 points in a kind of neutral site setting against a more experienced, a team returning more starters than Arizona was. So I was impressed to see that. Thought Gunnar Cruz looked really good at times. He had an interception late, but they were trying to force. It seemed like they were trying to force that. But being a first-year starter for Gunnar Cruz to throw the ball over 350 yards was very, very good.
Yeah, he played really efficient too. I think that's something that we forget about. I think he was 24-35. Like that's pretty insane from a guy that's making his first start and pretty much his second game of his college career.
Yeah. And the other guy on the offense that stood out to me was Stanley Berryhill. He had 10 catches for 102 yards. What do you think about his game?
Definitely. They did a really good job of just trying to get him involved, and they gave him the ball pretty quick out of space and just put the ball in his hands and tried to like let him make moves in open space. And I think that's a pretty big thing that we're starting to see in a lot of like offenses, like in the NFL and in college football. Like last year, what Alabama did with Devontae Smith, former Heisman winner.
Yeah.
So I think that's just the way football is going. Is you want to give the ball to your best playmakers, especially in open space, and just let them out-athlete everybody, essentially.
Yeah, that, I do agree on that. And Gunnar Cruz might be adding, another weapon to his repertoire this weekend, as Jamari Jr., former number one receiver a year ago, is returning from an injury as he had surgery a few months ago. He's been practicing all week, and he should play today. We don't know in what fashion. It could be in a limited form, but that would be a big boost to this offense.
Yeah, I know we were talking earlier, and I was really curious how much he's even going to play, because a foot injury is pretty severe, especially at the wide receiver position where you're doing a lot of quick in and out breaks and you're getting off the ball quick. So I would be surprised if he played anywhere more than like 5 possessions in this game. No matter really how the game plays out, if it's a close game or a long game, I think they're gonna just try their best to keep him slow. He's the senior too. So you gotta think about they're not, at least to a certain point, they're not gonna look at him like playing years into the future.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see if where they put him, if they try to put him in a lot of space positions to where he can use his athleticism to just outwill, because I think that's the biggest difference with at least today's game, because we do have better athletes than San Diego State University.
Yeah, I do agree on that. But one more returning starter that might be making their return today, left tackle Jordan Morgan, who missed last week's game. That would be a big boost for the line, because it just seemed like the running attack, couldn't get anything going, and they couldn't create space. Like the line couldn't create those holes, to allow somebody to get through.
Definitely, yeah. Schematic-wise, Jed Fish comes from Sean McVay offense that the LA Rams run, very similar to Kyle Shanahan's San Francisco 49ers and Matt LaFleur's Green Bay Packers. They run a lot of I formation and zone run blocking options. And so last week, I think they tried to implement that a lot in the first half. They gave Wiley a lot of carries, and in the second quarter they gave Drake Peterson a lot of carries. I think now they're in a space where they have a more dominant offensive line than the defensive line possesses. So I think they're going to try to pound the rock a lot more, especially early on again like they did last week. But I think they'll have a little bit more success with it this week just because they're a lot bigger than SDSU this week than they were against BYU last week.
Yeah, I moving on, I wanted to talk about one player or maybe a few that you had that you think are going to have a breakout game today, maybe score a touchdown, maybe have 80 plus yards, or even a guy on defense who might have a pick. Or who do you think is going to break out and show out today?
I think Wiley. I think the running back Wiley is going to have a great game. I think he's going to put a lot on the ground, and he was the second leading receiver last week. I think he'll have somewhat close to those numbers today, and they'll try to get him going in the pass game really quickly as well. On the defensive side, I've been really high on Gunnar Maldonado, transfer safety, and he's a starter. He had a great camp, and I think I would love to see him have an interception. I think it's definitely possible. But also San Diego State, they're a big running team. A few years ago, they had Rashad Penny, who was one of the leading rushing running backs in the whole country. That was like 4 or 5 years ago. So they're a running team. I think that'll definitely be a challenge for them to try to get picks. But it'll be interesting. It'll be a fun game, I think.
Yeah, I said before last week's game that I thought a tight end was going to score a touchdown, but I'm going to double down. I'm going to say the same thing today. I think Bryce Wohl was going to get in the end zone in his final season at Arizona Stadium, and as an Arizona Wildcat, I think he's going to score today. And on the defensive side of things, Trayvon Mason was great up front last week. I think Jalen Harris will add there, and I think the combination of both of them, I think they're going to have about 3 sacks today. Yeah, and let's move on, Jordan, and let's get into some of our game predictions for today. Arizona opened as a 1-point favorite against San Diego State about a week ago, but it's the money has been on Arizona all week long. Arizona is now a 2.5-point favorite today, a few hours before the game. How do you see this one playing out?
I see it a tight game for the whole first half, and I think Arizona goes in the second half with a lead. And I think they extend that lead and they kind of run away with it, especially with the one-dimensional SDSU offense. Like they're gonna try to run the ball, and I think if U of A gets a lead, I think it'll be pretty tough for them to try to catch up. So I think the Wildcats are gonna win today, 35-21.
My score prediction is a little bit like that, but I think the Wildcats are going 28-14. I think they're going to win by 2 touchdowns here at Arizona Stadium, and I think it's going to be a one-sided type of game. And I think they're going to cover the spread with ease. They're going to run the ball early and often. I think another prediction. I think Tavion Cunningham is going to have a 60-plus yard touchdown today, and it's going to light up the Zona Zoo.
You think that'll be on offense or in special teams?
Well, I'm going to have to find out later. But everybody, be sure to check all of our content out at Wildcat Sports on Twitter, at Daily Wildcat on Instagram for all of our game day coverage. And be sure to watch the Arizona Wildcats against San Diego State tonight at 7 p.m.